There we go. That's a good way to kill it. Hey everybody, this is Metellus in another scrap mechanic video. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and once I saw that welding tool come up, I figured this will make things a lot easier for putting stuff together. And you miss like one little joint or delete something by accident, and then you can just kind of paste it back together, which is great. So I have my fully functional mech here. Just like anything in the game, it's not perfect, but there's a lot that I like about this. This is based off of a combination of a lot of other little things that I saw online. I'm going to give credit to a lot of people at the end of this video here, so stay tuned for that. And let me know if I missed anybody, because there's just a lot of little pieces to this. So this cannon right here, this is basically the same weight as the rest of the mech right here, so it was really tough to balance, especially when trying to get them to fly without immediately toppling over. So the cannon is something, this was something early on that I tried to do and totally failed at, and then I saw two videos that helped really just kind of craft the details in a way that could be used consistently, fairly consistently. So you got that launches those metal beams right there, and then you've got this shield. Now the shield, this is kind of like battle mode, it's got a red screen there on top of the regular one as a targeting system, because that is roughly where those projectiles are going to land when you shoot it. Depending on how far up and down you got this turned and everything, it usually falls within that window. Range can vary, and the actual accuracy can vary, of course. So one of the things with this is that it cannot walk backwards, but it can rotate fairly quickly because it's got these rockets, and it makes it almost look like a natural type of movement. If you ever played any games like EDF or things like that, I mean, that's kind of how the mechs look like they walk anyway. They're just not using the actual rockets when they turn. So the controls hooked up to the steering wheel or the driver's seat. You can move this up or down, and you can just turn left or right if you want. And this is actually a little stuck right there. But anyway, so like a lot of the other designs you've probably seen, to load this up, you just do your block and your beam, block and beam, load it up like that, and then this little piston should load it up, and then you press 2 to activate the wheels to fire. That was actually a pretty decent shot there. So one of the issues of many that I ran into was, as you know, there's a lot of collision issues with the physics in the game right now. So sometimes these beams would just get stuck, and they still do. But you can see you got these little rollers right here, and those are actually set to controller, the same controller as the bearing for this piston right here. So I've got this controller on those, and so just to show you a little bit of the spider web here, you got the motors, 2 motors hooked up to between these 8 wheels, and that there's a button right here, and that's hooked up to the old steering wheel or driver's seat. So same thing with the switch for turning the piston on and off. So let's see here. So this kind of helps with the beams getting stuck right here, those little rollers, because it seemed to get stuck at the bottom, and then the weight will just kind of carry the rest of them down the majority of the time. This shield right here, it's pretty simple. The biggest challenge with this was trying to make it so that everything was kind of balanced, because like I said, this gun is so heavy on that side. That's why it's so close to the body, and it's best to try and walk when you have the shield up, because it helps balance it. Now, same thing for when you fly. If you try to fly without that shield up to the side, it's immediately going to fly off to the right because it's no longer balanced. But so let's see. That's my little quasi-creation area. Of course, you know that it wasn't used for that. It's just kind of cool looking. to use your imagination and everything. So let's see what else. I think that's about it, really. So for the people that I want to make sure I thank for the Canon design, the earliest that I could find on that was gaming faster than light, and that was in that was that was January 31st, and then I saw XI Sumavoid on February 6th. He did a little improvement on that. Now, the funny thing is, I mean, this is so close to what I was trying to do earlier, but the things that those two people really helped me with, the piston loading design, that's something that I was just trying to make like a hammer that would launch it in there, and that didn't work at all. So one thing that really helped also was the type of ammo. That's pretty critical. I never tried to use these. And apparently that's like one of the most important things if you're making a projectile launcher in Scrap Mechanic. And then only turning on the wheels when the projectile is chambered is the other important thing, because if you leave it on, then it catches at a weird time and it doesn't really get the full effect that it's supposed to. So that was kind of key there. Now, let's see, what else? Now, the sensor turning system here, when you watch the back of it, I'm sure you've seen this before. That little sensor thing, I wouldn't have ever thought of that, but that was from Tango Tech, and he did that on January 19th on YouTube. You can still find that video out there. He did it for a transforming car so that you could turn with rockets. Now, the piston concept for the legs, show you that movement again here. So it just barely clears those little rockets right there. So that piston movement, the first time I saw that was actually Zul'jin, the Zul'jin Gaming. That was January 17th, and you can still see that out there. And I made a little mech dinosaur. It was very simple. It was just like a big hunk of metal with a mouth that moved and the big feet and the tail that moved and everything. But I remember looking at the old Walker dinosaurs from when I was a kid, and they had to have these little bars across here to keep the weight. Keep it from toppling over, because it shifts weight from one foot to the other when it walks. So, and then Blitzkriegler, he improved upon that little dinosaur design. He made a pretty impressive one with the little seat folding up into the dinosaur and everything, so you could actually be inside of it. Mine, you just hit a button that was like right on its butt, and it would go until it fell over. So that's kind of the other thing with this, is that it really only works on flat terrain, because also if this is not perfectly flat, when you go to fly, it's going to go straight off in the other direction. So I know this is kind of a skinny looking mech, but it was really just the easiest way to do it. The more that I tried to make cool looking stuff on it, the more difficult it was to balance. So there was also the piston loading mechanism. I first saw that, I think, from TRX1911 on YouTube, just so you know. And then now this turret rotation, I've seen this a couple of times using an electric motor, and one of my videos that I did really early on, I think it was like February 1st, you can see where I had like a little house that opened up and then the turret came out, and it was actually rotating with an electric motor that was hooked up to the driver's seat there. So anyway, there are a couple of issues. I mean, again, it can't walk backwards, and I know that I probably could have done some kind of additional bearings so that it would hook up to another controller, because that's how it's walking forward right now, just so you know. This is hooked up to a controller that just does a 360 on each one. But the more bearings that I put on there and the more stuff that's out there in the world, the more it just winds up bogging down and everything, and it gets really choppy after a while. So one of my initial designs also for this, I was going to have a sword on that left arm and just kind of like have it swinging around. That really, for some reason, made the game super choppy, and it was tough to not make it just look like a bat, because there's nothing really thin in the game that looks like a sword, so you'd have to use your imagination even more on that, I think. and it wasn't very practical. Like, you either have it spinning in one direction or have it have a wide range of motion, and then this thing is just wobbling all over the place when it's trying to swing the sword around. So that did occur to me, but it was just a really tough concept to really integrate into this here. So I'll show the spider web again, just in case anybody's interested. They got right here the motion sensor hooked up to the top, and the very bottom rockets. And same thing for this one. The steering wheel turns that motion sensor so that you can turn using the rockets, and it pretty much only works when the feet are moving. So this making it fly was one of the more difficult things, because those bearings are hooked up to a controller to get the angle just right, and all of the rockets are hooked up to a button on the little steering wheel and everything. So this is the very last thing that I did, because making something balanced to have it fly can be very tough. Like, if you land on a pebble just wrong here, it's not going to launch properly. So anyway, I'll do one more little demonstration here. Hopefully this will be a good one. Oh, good, it dropped in. And there we go. Okay. So anyway, just let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any suggestions or questions. Just send them on over, leave comments, whatever. And I appreciate you watching. And take care, everybody. Have fun.